Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Cardinal HCM Absence Management Administrator Forum. My name is Lindsay Joseph. I'll be one of your facilitators today, and I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us this morning. For awareness, we are recording this session. We'll be sending out the recording along with the meeting materials following the session today or tomorrow. This forum is scheduled from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. today. All attendees have been muted to avoid background noise, but we do encourage you to actively participate in the session using the question feature. So you can ask questions at any time during the presentation by using the QA panel. Please do not send questions through the chat. Our chat is not being monitored and may not be seen. So please go ahead and make sure you're sending those through the Q&A panel. To access that QA panel, please look at the bottom of your screen and you should be able to see the meeting control bar. If you don't see the control bar, you might just need to move your mouse to activate it. You can select the optional icon, the one with the three little dots there that you see on our screenshot, and then select the QA option. That should open the panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can type your questions in there and hit send. And make sure you type your question and then send to all of our panelists and include your agency name so that we can get some necessary context for the panelists to answer your questions. We are going to hold the questions until our designated QA section, which will be after our demonstrations, but please feel free to go ahead and send them in as you think of them. We're going to do our best to answer as many questions as possible during the session, but please understand that some of our questions might need to be directed back to your agency support contacts, as our Cardinal team can't provide agency-specific guidance or your agency policies. Additionally, we might have some questions that require correction mode or our Cardinal post-production support team intervention. So we will be directing you to enter a VCCC ticket for those types of questions. And always remember, when you're entering a ticket, put Cardinal in the subject line so it can come into our queue and we can quickly direct it to the appropriate team. I'm now going to hand it over to Susie Hilton, one of our TA team members, who will be walking you through a few brief topics and some demonstrations before we go into our question and answer section.
Great, thank you. So again, welcome to the Absence Management Administration Forum. We are going to start just by highlighting a few of the absence event entry issues, some problems that we are noticing coming in through tickets that we just want to address with you, since you are there at your agency as a point of contact, so that you can help your employees kind of avoid these common mistakes that we're seeing. Then I'm going to go in and do three different demos. One having to do with absence events, another how to convert or how to adjust those leave balances that were brought in as part of conversion, and then also how to complete a new balance adjustment. We're also going to talk through absence balance as of dates, because we have had some confusion over those as of dates and when employees are able to view their absence balances. So we're going to talk through a few key points. Then we'll go into our Q&A session. So again, send those questions in through the QA panel as you have them, but just know that we are going to hold some of those questions until our QA session, and we'll be answering those with our panelists verbally. And then we will go over some of the training materials and where you can access those on the Cardinal Project website. And we will wrap up with just some reminders on how you can get additional support if you have other questions that we do not address in today's forum. So let's go ahead and talk through some of those absence event entry issues that we are seeing. Absence events are entered by the employees, timekeepers, or supervisors on the absence tab on the timesheet. That absence tab is below the time entry grid. And a lot of times employees are confused about where to enter their absences. And so this is just a reminder so that you're aware that some employees are confused about where to enter their absences. Another important reminder is that absence events must be submitted. Only submitted absence events are going to be routed to the supervisor for approval. And if they are left in the saved status, then that is going to cause their timesheet not to fully submit. And so we are getting a lot of tickets where employees have those absence events that are in saved status and their timesheet is not submitting. So if you could just please continue to remind your employees to make sure to submit their absence event as they are creating it. So after they forecast the absence event, go ahead and submit it right away. Unused absence events can be canceled by clicking that cancel checkbox and then submitting the timesheet. So employees can cancel an absence event as long as it has not already been approved. Once that absence event has been approved, then the employee won't be able to cancel it, but the supervisor or you as the absence management administrator can cancel the unused absence event. It's also really important for those employees who have variable work schedules to remember that when they are creating their absence events, that they always need to use the partial days feature, because remember, if they have that variable work schedule, they're scheduled to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So from Cardinal's perspective, when they do a full absence, a full day of absence, then that's going to pull 24 hours because in Cardinal, they have that 24/7 schedule. So it is important that if they have that variable work schedule, they are always creating their absence event using that partial days feature. So let's jump into our first demo, and this is for the absence events. Now, as an absence management administrator, you can handle absence events on the absence event page, but what I want to show you right now is the common issue that we are seeing where employees have that saved absence event that is getting in the way of their timesheet submitting. So I'm going to log in real quick. I'm using the training environment, so it does look a little bit differently than what you are used to seeing, but the timesheet looks the same. So I'm going to go to the team time tile because we're going to take a look at the absence event from the employee's timesheet. So this is what the timekeeper would do or what the supervisor would do to access the timesheet. You can search by name or employee ID. And then scroll down to click on the employee's last name. So now we can see that this employee has entered their time for the week, Monday through Thursday, 8 hours a day, regular hours. This is a positive time reporter, so they need to enter all of their time. So they've entered 8 hours Monday through Thursday, and then they've entered 8 hours of vacation. And the employee has noticed that their time is in saved status. They've clicked the submit button, but they're not getting that submit confirmation. So as you just saw, I clicked the submit button and it seems as if nothing has happened. And the reason that this timesheet is not submitting is because of this absence event. This absence event is in a saved status. I click on the absence tab, I can see that the absence is saved. I have my little note here from where I tried to submit my timesheet that is letting me know that I need to forecast this absence before I can submit it. So sometimes the employees say, but I did already forecast it. And I'm sure that they did. But because maybe they touched the timesheet grid or they left the timesheet and it came back to it, that means that they're going to have to forecast it again. So it's really important that the employees submit their timesheet right after they click the submit button and get that forecast successful message. So to do that, we're just going to scroll over to the right, click the forecast button. Now we have our forecast successful message, and now we can click the submit button. Now I get my submit confirmation. I can click OK. And now I can see that my absence status has updated from saved to needs approval. So this absence is routed to the supervisor for approval now. If I click on the reported time status tab, I can see that those hours for Monday through Thursday are all in submitted status now. So that means that because this is submitted time, when time admin runs, it will pick up this time and time admin will process it and then route it to the supervisor for approval. So this is just one of those very common mistakes that we're seeing or common issues that we're seeing tickets come in. So we just wanted to review that for you. Another quick reminder here, if an employee has multiple absences on the absence tab that are in saved status, they're going to have to forecast and submit each absence event individually. They can't do all at once. And sometimes that's a little bit confusing for our absence management administrators because you are used to handling these on the absence event page, whereas an absence event administrator, you are able to forecast multiple events at a time. But just keep in mind that on the timesheet, these have to be forecasted and submitted individually. All right, so the next demo that I want to do for you is adjusting converted leave balances. So leave that was converted as part of the conversion process before go live. If your agency is noticing that some of those hours need to be adjusted, I just want to review with you how you can make those manual adjustments. So to do that, we're going to go to the Navigator icon. We're going to click on Navigator. We're going to go to Global Payroll and Absence Management, Absence and Payroll Processing. Oops, I'm sorry. Payee Data, Adjust Balances. So let me walk you back through since I did jumble that up a little bit. Global Payroll and Absence Management, Payee Data, and then Adjust Balances. And then we're going to click on Absences. All right, so here we are going to enter the search criteria. So we can enter the employee ID number or we can enter the employee's name. So here I'm going to enter the employee ID number. And then click the search button. Now, this is really important, and this is where we do see some mistakes happen. When you are going to make an update or you're going to adjust those leave balances, you need to select the pay group or the calendar period, the calendar ID or the period begin and end date for the pay period that you want this balance adjustment to be effective in or to be available in. So you want to pay really close attention to the dates that you're selecting. So for example, if you're making an adjustment to leave balances that were converted in, then we want this adjustment to be available during that first pay period after go live. So that's starting 9/25/2022. The period began 9/25/2022 with a period end of 10/9/2022. So we can click anywhere on this row. I'm just going to click on the period begin date. And then in the header section, you always want to double check that you're entering the balance adjustment for the pay period which you intend it to be available. So this is a begin date of 9/25/2022 and an end date of 10/9/2022. So then you're going to enter the element name. So if you can start entering it in, you can click the lookup icon, so you don't have to type the full name in. select that. That's going to provide the description for you. And Cardinal is also going to automatically complete the begin date and end date based on that pay period that you selected on the previous page. So you do not need to update this here. Then you're going to enter the balance adjustment. So here you can enter that as a positive number if you need to add hours to the absence balance, or as a negative number if you need to decrease that balance. So if you're going to enter it as a negative number, then you would just use, you would use the negative, and then if I did -5, that's going to take 5 hours from the balance. If you need to add additional hours, so in this case, we are going to be adding 15 hours to this employee's vacation balance. So I'm going to just enter that as a positive number. So that balance adjustment is 15 hours. Here we are required to enter a comment. So here you would just enter the comment following your agency guidelines. So in this case, I'm just going to say balance adjustment, 15 hours, admin approved. But you would follow whatever agency guidance for how much detail you want to put into this comment. But a comment is required for the balance adjustment. So now I'm going to click OK and then save. So correcting those converted leave balances is very simple. You're just going to go to the absence page, and if you needed to do multiple balance adjustments, then here you could just add another row, and you could, if you need to do multiple rows, you would just enter the number of rows you want to add. I just want to add 1 row. I'm just going to click OK. That'll add a new row. And so if you needed to do another, adjust another leave balance, you could do that here. So now I'm going to go to return to search for my third demo. I'm going to click no here because this is just because I added another row. I don't need to save that, so I'm just going to click no. Now we're going to come back here to search. I'm going to search for another employee. So when we, for my third demo, I'm going to show you how to create a new absence balance. So if the employee does not have any hours, then how do you create that new absence balance? So we're going to clear what we had entered previously, and I'm going to enter the employee ID number for this other employee. And then click the search button. And again, very important that you are selecting the appropriate pay period. So in this case, for this employee is being given ALI, or annual leave incentive. And this is going to be effective or available for the employee in the pay period that is starting 10/25/2022. So you just want to make sure that you are selecting the appropriate pay period for when you want this new balance to be available. So for this employee, we are making this annual leave incentive available for this employee starting 10/25/2022. So here we can see the begin date, the end date, and we can see the calendar ID here. So you're going to, again, enter the element name. This is the same page where we entered the balance adjustment when we were making the adjustment to the converted absence entitlement balances. This is the same page, and you're doing it the same way. So whether it is an adjustment of an absence balance that they've already received or something new that you are granting them, you do it on the same page and in the same way. Again, you're just wanting to pay close attention to those pay period dates, the begin date and the end date. So we select the element name, annual leave incentive, And then we enter the balance adjustment. So we're going to give 20 hours of annual leave incentive, and then we're going to enter a comment. So I'm just putting the HR admins approved the 20-hour annual leave incentive with the begin date of 10/25/2022. Again, you just follow your agency guidelines on what details need to be included in the comment. I'm going to click the OK button and then save. All right, so that was just a quick review of how to adjust converted leave balances and how to create a new leave balance. Now flip back over to our presentation. These are just the slides of those demos, the adjust converted leave balance demo and that new balance adjustment demo. So now we want to review a little bit more about those absence balance as of date. So when are those absence balances available for the employee to view? So balances that are displayed in employee self-service, so for the employee to see, are as of the last finalized absence period. So these are those as of dates that display on those balance pages. So the absence entitlement balances that display on the absence tab, if they scroll down underneath where they create their new absence event. And these are also those balances that display on their timesheet in that left side menu where they can click on absence balances. Absence periods are finalized and closed on the semi-monthly pay date. And absences are approved after the timesheet due date for a period is processed in the current period and reflected in the employee self-service balances when the current period is finalized or closed. Balance adjustments that are entered by the absence management administrators are not going to be displayed in the employee self-service portal until the period is finalized and closed, but those hours are still available to be used and they will forecast successfully. So for example, that absence balance adjustment that we just did for that employee's vacation hours, and we made those effective that first pay period after go live, if that employee logged in, they would not see those new vacation hours displayed in their absence balances, but if they tried to use them, their vacation absence would forecast successfully. So the hours are there, it's just that the employee can't see them until the pay period is finalized. Absence calc runs nightly and processes all of the approved absences. And absence management administrators can review the daily calculated balances on the results by calendar and calendar group pages. All right, so now I know that there have been some questions that have been coming in, so I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay for the QA.
We actually just have one question right now. How often do balance adjustments update so the employee can see the leave adjustment? So Susie just talked about that. Balance adjustment hours can be used by the employee as soon as the adjustment is saved. However, the hours will not be reflected in the employee's balance in self-service until that absence period is finalized, which is on the pay date. And a couple of bullets on the previous slide go into that as well. I'm going to pause for just a minute here. Remember, you can put questions into our QA panel. We're going to go on mute just for another minute or two, allow you guys to think of any questions that you have. Please go ahead and send them in, and then we will read some out loud as we get them. Okay, so we actually do not have any additional questions at this time. We still have a few more minutes left in the presentation, so feel free to go ahead and send those in, and we can answer any that come in at the end. But for now, I'm going to turn it back over to Susie, who's going to go over some training material reminders for you all.
Great, so just a reminder, you can access all of our job aids, videos, and course materials on the Cardinal Project website. Just a couple of the job aids that we referenced during this forum, and also just another quick reminder of some other job aids that are helpful for your employees. Starting with that holiday time entry scenario, since there was recently a holiday, we are getting a lot of tickets about how to enter time for that holiday. So we just wanted to take this opportunity to remind you of this job aid, the TA 371 and ESS holiday time entry scenarios job aid that you can provide to your employees to help them as they are entering their time when there's a holiday. And then managing absence events, the TA 371 managing absence events job aid is a job aid that just walks through how to create an absence event, how to edit it, how to cancel it. And so this is a great job aid to provide to your employees if they need additional guidance on how to create those absence events. The entering and modifying absences, this is a job aid that's specifically for absence management administrators, and this helps you get more, or helps walk you through and provide detailed instructions on how to enter and modify those absence events using that absence event page, because you are able to, enter multiple absence events at the same time, forecast them, and submit them all at once. So this job aid is specific for you as an absence management administrator. And then the managing absence balances, that job aid is also specifically for you as absence management administrators, and that walks you through how to manage those absence balances. So for those two demos that I did on how to adjust absence balances, the step-by-step directions for that process is included in this job aid. And then the results by calendar group, this job aid is helpful because it will help you be able to see the absences by each calendar group. So this is another job aid that you may want to be able to keep on hand and refer to. All right. Another few training materials that we wanted to touch on is the timesheet report. We went over this during the TL forum as well, but we just wanted to highlight the timesheet report again, as that is a great resource for you to review the time and absences that have been entered for your employees. The ineligible forecasted absence events, and the doc unpaid absences report, and then also the employee leave report. These are just some of the queries and reports that are very useful for you in reviewing and assisting your employees in making corrections. Sometimes running a query or running a report is not that intuitive, so we have two job aids that are listed here in the notes section of this slide. And those two job aids will move through how to run a query in HCM, and then also how to generate those reports. So if you need to refer to those links are here as well. And I believe Lindsay has been dropping some of those links in the chat so that you can more easily click on those, save them, because these are some of those reports, queries, and job aids that we think are going to be really useful for you as you are getting more comfortable in Cardinal. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it back over to Lindsay to talk through some of the additional support that we have available.
Thanks, Susie. Okay, so we just want to finish out today with some reminders on where you can go if you need some more additional help. So first and foremost, you have your agency support. So you all have some agency-specific guidelines around which resources you should be going to help you resolve questions or issues. I know some agencies have a shared mailbox, some have a specific TA or AM person that has gone through all of our training, of course, and has maybe a little bit more experience in helping answer these types of questions, like Susie pointed out earlier in the presentation. Your CN members are also a great resource for that as well. But definitely follow your agency guidelines and communications you receive from your agency on who to go to for those types of questions. The agency contacts that have participated in the Cardinal project with us over the past couple of years are definitely equipped to address your agency's specific details, including some system usage, your specific TA attributes, maybe about time reporter types, chart fields, any policies and procedures that are, again, specific to your agency that our Cardinal team members might not be able to address. The second option we have here on the slide are user labs. User labs are great for our core users. They can come in from 9 to 4, Tuesday to Thursday. We have in-person user labs for all of our functional areas, so HR, payroll, TA, including absence management and payroll. And those are offered here at the Cardinal Project offices at Paragon Place. And those are for production entry help. So users are bringing in their own work, and we have trainers as well as some application team members on hand to support with questions and walking through processes together. And then the final thing here are BCCC help desks. If you can't attend in-person user labs, or your team members or end users can't attend in-person user labs, please remind them that if they need any additional help or have questions, they can enter a Cardinal help desk ticket. But make sure, as we've said a few times, you put Cardinal in the subject line so that it does get routed to us, and we can make sure that our fantastic team members that are delivering the forum and supporting today can answer those timely. One other announcement I want to make, we did get a request in the TL Administrator Forum last week to host a payroll forum. So we will be hosting a payroll forum this Thursday, October 20th, in the afternoon. That forum will be 1 to 3 p.m. So if you're a core user that holds both the absence administrator role and the payroll administrator role, you should have been invited to that forum, which again is Thursday, 1 to 3 p.m. And we'll be going over some payroll specific processes, questions, and demonstrations. Does not look like we have any additional questions at this time. So I'm going to close this out. Just a thank you for attending today. We are going to stay on for just a couple of extra minutes. We'll go on mute when we're finished here, but please feel free to send any additional questions that you have in to the QA panel. And as always, if you have any questions that you think of after the forum, feel free to submit that VCCC ticket so that we can get those answered for you. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your week.